My name is Elise, a 33-year-old corporate employee. I've been married for 2 years to my husband Luke, who's 3 years older and works at a sister company to mine. From the get-go, we've been living with his parents in a 2-family home setting. Luke is the second of 2 brothers. He has an older brother named Cody, who's 6 years his senior. Before we got married, it seems like Cody and his parents were the ones living together. Cody's wife Christy, however, is a chatterbox and pretty competitive. She often clashed with her similarly strong-willed mother-in-law. Eventually, Cody and his dad got fed up with these family squabbles and decided to move out. But Luke had been living alone since he started working, so neither of us ever really considered the idea of living with his parents. So when his mom abruptly announced, "After you two get married, you'll be living with us," not only were my parents and I shocked, but so was Luke. "Why now? I thought we were going to live in my current apartment at least until we have kids, since it's convenient for Elise's commute." Wait, that makes it sound like living together was inevitable. Despite that unsettling feeling, we realized the commutes would be roughly the same whether from Luke's apartment or his parents' house. Plus, their house, built by Luke's grandfather, is pretty old but has a main house and a guest house, so we thought we'd have enough privacy. So we agreed to move in. Once we did, though, I quickly regretted it. At that time, his mom in her mid-60s started complaining about back pain and dizziness. She pushed all household chores onto me, from cleaning their house to laundry and shopping. I work full-time, so even sharing chores with Luke barely kept our lives and his parents' lives in order. Then came the unexpected financial burden. Firstly, the guest house needed serious renovations. The guest house looked livable from the outside when we first saw it, but once you actually go in, there's no denying it needs more than a simple patch job. The bathroom, kitchen, roof, floors, everything shows significant wear and tear. But hey, it's our space. Of course we're going to pay for the renovations. What caught us off guard was when my mother-in-law saw the newly renovated guest house and demanded we do the same for the main house. "Surely you wouldn't fix up your guest house and leave your parents to live in a run-down place." "But we can't afford to do everything all at once." "Why is Elise working then? To support us, her in-laws, right?" "Exactly, Luke. We blessed you with marriage. You should serve us in return." And so, not only did they want the house renovated, but they wanted new high-end furniture and appliances, saying, "The newly renovated rooms deserve the best." On top of that, they even make us pay for every little thing, from a single green onion to a roll of toilet paper. Despite trying to save by bringing our own sandwiches, my in-laws order delivery or dine out daily. And guess who pays for that? They use the family card that they made Luke get. Thanks to this situation, Luke and I struggle to save even a tiny bit of money. Every month, right before the credit card bills due, we're stressing out, trying to balance the family budget. We've both talked to my in-laws saying, Mother-in-law, we appreciate you, but you need to tone it down a bit." Luke even added, "Exactly. From renovation costs to daily expenses, utilities, and even property taxes, you're making us cover it all. Children supporting their parents is only natural." "Yeah, are you out of your mind complaining about this?" We'd been severely scolded, ending in a pattern where both of us would resort to crying to get our way. But even that lifestyle had gone on for over 2 years. Just as we were approaching the 3rd year, my mother-in-law and the Cody couple suddenly told us, "We're moving in. You have to move out. Christy told me that Cody got laid off," they said. "Cody was actually spared, but chose to get laid off instead to save a colleague with kids. He's such a kind-hearted soul." "But you have 1-year-old twins yourself. How irresponsible can you be? How will you manage living expenses if you move in?" "Cody graduated from a prestigious university. Unlike you, Luke. He can find another job in no time." "Then why does he need to move back home?" "He doesn't have a choice. He's living in company housing from his old job. He has to move out by the end of the month." "Moving frequently with small kids is hard, you know. At least Christy isn't a disappointing daughter-in-law who hasn't given us any grandkids. What's your problem?" So there we were, Luke and I sitting on the floor for 2 hours in front of my in-laws on their comfy sofa. Finally, we'd had enough. Fine, we'll move out this week. Yes, we should, I said. We've learned plenty about family from you, mother-in-law and father-in-law. It's time to put that wisdom into practice, right, Luke? Haha, finally getting it, are you? Yeah, just like Elise said, we're happy to do it. Great, case closed. With that, Luke and I turned our backs on our chuckling in-laws and headed for the guest house. 2 weeks later, we had movers arranged and relocated with no time to spare. We opted for the full packing service because time was of the essence. We timed our move during my in-laws' regular lunch and karaoke with friends, so there were no complaints about the stuff we were taking. We wrapped up all the formalities in 3 days, using up our paid leaves, and starting our new life, until one day, I got a call from the front desk at work. Someone claiming to be family is here to see you. Whew. I had a feeling she'd show up soon, but I didn't expect her to barge in on me instead of Luke. I quickly text Luke. She went to your place, huh? Sorry for the inconvenience. No worries, but what should we do? I don't want to cause trouble at the office. Just tell them I had to step out for a meeting. Do you think that'll work? Heck, Cody has 1-year-old twins himself. What's he planning to do about expenses if he moves in? Got it. So, I passed the message to the front desk and my in-laws left as agreed. That night, as Luke and I pulled into the parking lot of our in-laws' compound, our in-laws and Cody and his spouse rushed out of the main house and guest house to greet us. A closer look revealed that both mom-in-law and dad-in-law had a baby strapped to their backs, probably Cody's twins. Just as I was locking the car, Cody angrily yelled, "Hey, how dare you show up here in my parents' cars?" Luke coolly responded, "Your parents' cars? Which ones are those?" This seemed to anger Cody even more. "The cars you both drove up in, obviously." I said, "Well, Cody, both these cars were purchased by us. Our names are even on the registration certificates. Would you like to see?" Luke added, "Exactly. I've been annoyed by how our parents drive these cars as if they own them. We let it slide because we lived together, but now there's no need to lend them out, right?" "And don't forget Dad-in-law has that old minivan he used for work," I added. Christy, who had been glaring at us, spat out, "Who cares about that old car?" To which I retorted, "But it's perfect for twins, isn't it? You can fit 2 car seats." Our back and forth made our in-laws uncomfortable, but after seeing Cody get a talking to about the cars, they jumped in. "What about the furniture and the appliances? Taking them while we're away, that's stealing." "Not just from the main house, but also from the guest house." "Yes, Cody and I can't live without those." That's when Luke said, "Why would we have to leave them?" "Look, I get what you're saying. We're using the guest house anyway, but there's no reason to dip into the main house too," as things started heating up even more. "Why, isn't that stuff we all pitched in for?" I asked, trying to understand their logic. "Ugh, such arrogance. Even so, once you gave it, it's ours," father-in-law fired back. At this point, Luke chimed in. "Whoa, hold on. We never gave you anything. We just lent it. There's no memory of us ever saying we're giving it to you. And there's no transfer of ownership on paper." Both father-in-law and mother-in-law looked utterly shocked at his response. Piling on, Luke continued. "We were living together, so we lent stuff as a courtesy. Now that we're living separately, why would we keep lending you things? We just took back what's ours. Is that a problem?" As we exchanged smiles. Everyone seemed to snap back to reality. "Well, we have washing machines and fridges too." "You don't need 2 of each, do you?" "Exactly, so why not lend it to us again?" "Yeah, wherever you've moved, stuffing everything into a small space will just make it even more cramped," they argued. Luke and I grinned at each other. "Well, true. We're pretty packed right now." "Absolutely, it's a tight fit," we agreed. Christy started to say, "In that case," but we cut her off. "Remember, it's a storage room, so it's supposed to be cramped," we chuckled. "Exactly. Until the official contract is done, this is how it has to be," we concluded. This left Cody and our in-laws with a look of utter confusion on their faces. Then Luke dropped a bombshell. "Oh, by the way, both of us are moving to Boston next month." From there, Luke smoothly explained that both of us had originally been offered positions at the corporate headquarters, but we had turned them down because we were living with my in-laws. However, now that the obstacle of living with my in-laws was removed, we had both accepted the transfers and happily received internal notifications for positions at the corporate headquarters. Even better, if all goes well, we could be working there until retirement. As luck would have it, Luke's colleague, who was going overseas for an extended period, wanted to sell his high-rise condo, so everything fell into place quickly.
Wait, you guys are going to live in a high-rise condo in Boston?
Man, life sure does throw some curveballs, doesn't it? Totally. If Cody and the gang hadn't told us to move out so they could live here, we wouldn't have stumbled upon this jackpot.
But how could we even afford a high-rise condo? That seems unreal. That's thanks to Elise's dad. He provided the down payment. Elise's dad just gave you the down payment?
Yes, my sister is inheriting the family property, so this was sort of a trade-off.
Plus, the previous owner said, I don't have a place to keep my modern altar. Can you hold on to it until I return to the country? I'll lower the asking price if you agree. So we did, and got a big discount.
With that kind of discount, it feels like we're the ones ripping them off. Hearing this, Christy, who was standing nearby, burst into tears. That's so unfair. I'd rather have a high-rise condo in Boston than live in Atlanta. Suddenly, the in-laws who had been quiet all this time switched gears and started fawning. Well, it looks like Luke really has it together, doesn't he?
Like mother, like son. Luke is following in my footsteps.
But Luke ignored them entirely. Turning to me, they said, living in a high-rise in Boston, everyone's going to be so jealous. When are you moving? We must visit.
Why visit for just a short time? If we're going to Boston, you should come too.
That's an interesting idea, they chimed in. Hearing this, Cody and Christy stopped their arguing, snapped at the in-laws.
Whoa, what are you talking about?
Yeah, Cody's being downsized, so you're going to have to support us.
Plus, until I find another job, Christy will have to go back to work early from her parental leave. You'll have to take care of her, household chores, and the twins.
Cody and Christy, getting confrontational, marched up to the in-laws who were carrying the twins. The tension must have reached the babies, who started crying, waking up the entire neighborhood. Noticing the neighbors who seemed to have heard the earlier shouting and crying, now gathering at a distance from the garage, the in-laws turned beet red. They looked at Luke again. Luke, say something to Cody and the others. Stop just standing there.
Exactly. These guys are trying to take advantage of us, your parents.
Luke laughed out loud.
So this is like a battle of wits between a raccoon and a fox, huh?
Turning to the bewildered faces around him, he grinned and explained,
if both couples, you and us, don't work, our family finances will collapse next month.
Christy, fuming, asked what this meant. That's when I chimed in. Christy, you thought if Cody lost his job and you moved into the in-laws' rent-free home, you could just push the utility bills and groceries onto them, right? Well, our income was running this house, and you can't count on it anymore. I've never heard about this. Exactly why we're telling you now. Oh, and you'll also need to help with the mortgage payments for the house renovation. It's in father-in-law's name.
What? Why is it in his name?
At this, the in-laws started avoiding eye contact. Luke took over.
I wanted the loan in my name, since I was paying for it, but Dad insisted it would be shameful, so we used this property as collateral. Until now, we've been transferring money into Dad's account to cover the loan. Cody, you'll need to chip in starting next month. Of course, the in-laws and Cody were against it, but Luke firmly declined to continue payments. We're going to give up the inheritance, so Cody, as the one who will inherit, you better take good care of your parents and the family home, I firmly told him. When my mother-in-law insisted, but children are still obligated to take care of their parents, right? Luke brushed it off, saying, well, considering we've been covering your living expenses and loan payments for the past 2 years, I'd say that pretty much balances out any future caregiving costs I'd have as a son, don't you think? Finally looking at me, he said, let's go home, love. I responded, goodbye, everyone. I doubt we'll meet again. Take care. The next day, Luke and I sold off the furniture and appliances we'd moved from the main house, along with 2 cars we wouldn't need anymore. When Christy texted us, if you don't want it, give it to me, I simply replied, why? And blocked her. After that, the special leave granted for our job transfer wasn't enough. We had to use up our remaining paid vacations to finally finish moving into the apartment. Buying the high-rise condo would take more time, so the first year, we decided to rent, thanks to the generosity of my boss who owns the place. The weekend arrived, bringing a bit of calm after the storm of recent days. Gazing at the city lights, Luke broke the silence. I know I've been a hassle this time, but thanks for sticking with me. What's with the formal tone all of a sudden? I joked, but Luke continued. When we first got married and the idea of living together came up, I should have thought things through. But back then, I was just happy you chose me over Cody, who I've been compared to since we were kids." He went on to say that we'd been mindlessly following his parents' wishes ever since. "But then, when they told us to move out so they could bring in Cody and his family after the company restructuring, it struck me. How could they say that after being such a burden on us, financially and otherwise? And then I thought about how much your parents must worry about you, given your situation, so I sent an apology email to your parents. They responded, 'If you promise to make our daughter happy in the future, the past can be forgiven.' So when they discussed the down payment, they lent it to us without a hitch. Then Luke promised to do everything in his power to protect our life together, just the two of us, and our future children if we were blessed to have them. On the other hand, it seems my in-laws are struggling, even pooling their retirement income. They can barely afford the loan for the home renovation. There's no way they can cover living expenses for two households. Plus, Cody's attempt to find new employment have been a series of failures. They're forced to make do with Christy's salary now that she's returned to work and what the in-laws earn from their part-time jobs at local senior centers. Arguments are frequent, often loud enough to hear outside the house. A former colleague texted me saying there's even gossip about them skipping town. Since they've cut off all contact with Luke and me, including anything that would require sharing personal information, they resorted to reaching out to my parents. But my dad, annoyed, changed his phone number immediately. Considering they had always belittled my family and didn't even bother with pre-marriage courtesies, changing a phone number is a small but significant step. Now they have almost no way to get in touch with us. What goes around, comes around.